Hey, what's up? Welcome to Degen Ed. That's degenerative education, meaning none of this is financial advice. Just me having fun looking at charts like the chart behind me, which is of Nike, ticker symbol NKE. And so I wanted to go over this chart because they just had earnings, let's see, on December 21st. And following that, we saw this more than, let's see, nearly 12% drop on, let's see, December 22nd. So that was last Friday. And so I just wanted to go over a few levels that stand out to me. It seems like there is an opportunity with a gap to the upside going to $121.30, which was the low on the 21st before earnings were released. And but I also think that there is some risk for continued downside and or consolidation before filling that gap. And so what I see on the chart, you can see these two lines, the yellow one at $106.14, right around 106, and this orange line at $101.88. Also, $100 is going to be a psychological level, so I do think that there is some potential that price does drop to either of those levels. One thing that I do think is pretty encouraging is that if we look at the yellow line at $106, we can see, looking at the volume profile, that there does seem to be a lot of volume having been traded right around the current price between 108 and 106. So if price does go down to 106, I do think it could find a lot of support there, given that there was all of this volume traded in that region, having served as support over here, and then more recently as resistance, support again, and now it's testing that as support. I do think that it could go lower to around 102. That is based on the low of May 1st. And basically we see support there, resistance at the end of end of August, beginning of September. And then we saw some more price action there. So I do think it could go lower. But, if we look at the volume profile, we do see that this kind of volume shelf that right around the current price, just below it, between, like I said, 106 and 108, we do see volume kind of drop off. So if it does go below 106, I do think that, it would be going lower, and I don't necessarily think 102, or this line, orange line at 101.88, would necessarily serve as that great of support, just because there's not that much volume traded below it. There's not much, price action that would serve as support, people wanting to step in and buy there. And so I do feel like $100 is more likely to be support than 102, just because that's a psychological level. Also, to the downside, there is this notable gap that stood out to me that was following earnings, but that was a gap up. And filling that gap would be going to a price of $89.48. So I do think that could be a price target, but I do have this white uptrending level that has served as support in the past. And so I do think that moving forward, if price does go towards filling this gap, I don't think it would be long-lived at that level. I do think it would bounce back and close above this white level of support, or at least not have too many days closing below that level of support. We do see the RSI dropped notably, having been around 75 on the 21st, and now it is currently at 38.13. So that's getting very, very close to oversold territory, right around 30. Another thing I want to point out is the moving averages. Let's see, I have the 21-day moving average that's now well above the stock price at a price of $115.80. So I do think that's something to consider. And we basically do have the 50 and 200-day moving averages converging right around $109, which coincide with the wick of Friday's candle, which, had a lot of price action above the closing price. So we do see that big wick up. And so I do think that that level 109 is going to be a significant one to break above. And if price does go lower, that could signify the death cross, the 50-day moving average, moving above the moving below, the 200-day moving average. So we will have to see how price responds the next week or two, especially with the closing of the month. And on that note, I'm just going to remove the moving averages. I want to take a step back to look on the monthly chart. And here we can see that depending on how December closes, we could get this, what looks like a topping tail, this big wick up. And that could be a very bearish sign, especially if we, let's see, it's kind of a rough drawing here, but that does look like it is forming this wedge pattern. And so it's possible, that could break to the upside in January, but that could also, continue to consolidate downward towards this thicker uptrending level of support. And so, yeah, I think that it'll be pretty important to see what the close of December is. The close of November was, let's see, $109.90. So really, I think it'd be good to see price closing at or above $110 for the month of December. The high of November was $111.77. So I think it'd be really, really good to see December closing at $112, if not higher. And then, so yeah, just going to take a step back so we can see where this uptrending level of support originates from. That is based on the month of June from 2012. We do have a couple monthly candles, a handful of them, below this uptrending level of support, but for the most part, it has been respected. We did get this wick down below it during the COVID crash in March of 2020, but that was recovered. And then also in September and October of 2022, we did see a retest of that line. And with September of 2023. So I do think price could be coming down, back down to that level, let's say, between $90 and $100. So I think that is something to consider. But I think it's really going to depend a lot on how the month closes. If we are going to be consolidating with forming this wedge pattern or breaking out in the near term, it'll be pretty important to see what happens in this coming week and into January. So yeah, are we going to see this gap filled? I think eventually we will, but there might be some consolidation around 106, and if not holding that, I think right around $100, possibly going down to 90. And so those are my thoughts on Nike. If you found this video helpful, make sure you like it, share your thoughts in the comments below, and subscribe to the channel for more videos like this. Thanks a lot for watching.